Hey, welcome to Thoughtseize Interviews, the show where we seize the thoughts of our guests while playing games of Magic the Gathering. I'm Lucas Frank. With me, as always, is my co-host, Zachary Cole Smith, and today we're joined by progressive activist, planeswalker of the multiverse, Antifa super soldier, and face of the blue check Twitter, Jordan Yule. Hi, Jordan.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Jordan, I wanted to ask you, are you a gamer?
Oh, that is quite possibly like the most important question you could start an interview with.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, lifelong, man. It's kind of kept me, especially during quarantine, kept me sane, relatively. And it's a long hobby of mine and something I'm passionate about. So across the board, whether it's Magic or PC gaming or whatever. Yeah, I am a proud gamer.
So specifically Magic the Gathering, as we're here to play. What is tell us about your relationship to the game of Magic the Gathering? How did you become a planeswalker of the multiverse?
So when I was younger, one of my cousins played it, and I was just really fascinated with it. I thought it just looked really cool, and wanted to get into it. My parents are really conservative, and like just the presence of like demons or ghouls or goblins or whatever was like a hard no.
Yep.
So it was kind of like in just tangential. Like I was aware of it, always thought it was fascinating, never got into it. And then so it's a recent thing for me. When Zendikar came out, my buddies Kevin and Brendan were really into it. We're hanging out in Discord together all the time, and they really sold me on it. And what I think the barrier for me was just like it's a complicated game, and card games are games like this are tough in paper, and there's just probably a shortage of people to play with in person. But Arena made it really fucking easy. Yep. So they got me into Arena, and I was looking at my Epic account the other day, and since Zendikar came out, which is when I got into it, I've spent like over 100 hours playing.
Yep.
Hooked me hard and fast, and I've plunked a good amount of money into it, like paper and online, and yeah, the rest is history. It is absolutely fascinating, and I feel like I really wasted just years not playing, because it's a really cool game, and from what I can tell, a great community.
I hate that part of Epic Games where it shows you how long you've been playing the game. Like, fuck off! I do not want to know. And conservative parents in Magic. There's also some satanic. There's some like pentagram shit in the early Magic stuff, and that's kind of I love that part of things in Magic personally.
Yeah.
So your cousin was into it as a kid, you got blocked by the parents, and then reintroduced recently with Zendikar. Yeah. And what is your preferred format in the Magic universe?
Most people are playing just standard. I've got a couple decks that I run in there, and moderate success. I hit Mythic in Arena last month or 2 months ago.
Congrats.
So not terrible. Thank you. I was very excited. I was like really pumped. And then like as soon as I hit it, I just stopped. I was like, I'm not gonna deal with it anymore. It stresses me out. Every game made me very nervous.
It's a stressful game. It's a cruel mistress.
It is.
You hit Mythic with what? Do you have a prep? Do you have are you like a control mage? Are you an aggro guy? What's your scene?
That season was a mix of not Gruul, because I didn't have the wild cards to make some of the Great Henge, and I didn't have enough Love Struck Beast, so it's kind of a combination Gruul and then a little bit more into the aggro side, and then the final few I was just kind of like dumb guy Reddit, like mono red. But recently I've been playing. It's fun. It's aggressive and fun.
Yeah.
I made kind of a blue-green mutation shoot swarm deck that I've been playing for a while, which is pretty fun. And then this set is just all giants. It's that giant layout, or that giant deck is so fun.
Are you blue-red giants? I haven't seen a giants build yet.
Black, red, blue.
Okay, Grixis giants.
Yeah, it's
Are you playing that? You got to be playing that saga card that draws you 3 cards or whatever. What's that called?
There's a few sagas. I'm terrible with names, and if people are diehards,
or like chat, you like Scry 3 or something, and
there's a couple. There's like Call of the Giants or something like that, and that is you scry 2. There's another one where you scry 3, and then the one I really like is like the Battle of Ice and Fire, which just does 4 damage to every non-giant creature.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And you just wipe out the board. That's
very sick.
That's my shit.
Sick. Well, Cole.
So Jordan, we've built a deck for you. Your fucking video window keeps resizing, so I'm just gonna hope that's fine. Okay, so here's what we got for you. So like basically the deck building limitations that we imposed on ourselves, first of all, had to be Jeskai colors, red, white, and blue. These colors do not run. That's where we started. It also felt really important to build it around some kind of soldiers mechanic. So we've got a couple soldiers in this deck. We've got right here Raise the Alarm, which makes 2 1/1 white soldier tokens. We've got Omen of the Sea, which does the same, both at instant speed.
Omen of the Sun.
Omen of the Sun. Yeah, 2 1/1 white human soldier tokens. We've got Elspeth, Sun's Nemesis, also making soldier tokens. And then we've got Gideon the Trials, who's a 4/4 soldier token. So basically the plan of this deck is, you have a soldier token on the field and you play this planeswalker here, Lukka. You minus on one of the soldier tokens, you exile cards from the top of your library or reveal cards from the top of your library till you hit another creature. We only run one creature, which is Dream Trawler. So it kind of cheats this Dream Trawler into play. We also have a couple little flavor cards. We got what do we got here?
Justice Strike.
We've got Justice Strike, which I think is probably the actual name of like 10 brutal U.S. military actions. We have Censor because you were censored by the U.S. Army esports team. And I think this is actually an actual picture of you after getting banned from their server. And then we have just a couple ways to cheat out the mana early on. We have Lotus Field with Blood Sun, which stops this sacrificing 2 lands thing, and then Tail's End to counter that trigger. So we can cheat more mana into play quicker and get these fucking soldiers on the battlefield and whatever
more
they
boots
do.
On the ground.
Get some boots on the ground. So that's the plan of the deck, and let's just run it.
Jordan, so you previewed a Magic card for Kaldheim, correct?
I did, yeah.
What was the card? How did that happen? Tell us about the experience.
And now my mind just went blank. Let me pull it up. It was so Sean, who works at Wizards, reached out after seeing my buddies and I tweet about it constantly because, like I said, that's all I've been doing in quarantine. And said oh hey, would you be willing to do this? And yeah, of course. That would be great. So I got to preview Shackles of Treachery, which is a 3-mana red sorcery card where you gain control of your target of a target creature until the end of the turn. Untap it, and until the end of turn, it gains haste. And whenever that creature deals damage, destroy target equipment attached to it. So if you have that Goblin Hammer in the new set attached to your card, and someone uses this against you, they could turn it around and use it against you and break the hammer.
Classic 3-mana yoink card, but with a little extra equipment clause on there.
Right. And there was some debate over how effective it would be if you used it on somebody who had Embercleave. I think it's just a little bit too slow, and Embercleave is just so powerful. And when people seem to use it, it's for Fatal.
Right.
But that would be nice, just to take it, use it against somebody else, and then break it.
Yeah, it's rare that you survive Embercleave hitting the board.
Yeah, it's a card that basically allows you to win the game when you have no business winning the game whatsoever.
That's why it's my favorite.
Yeah, it's sick. We lose Arena there, Coley.
Oh yeah, bud. It's got some quality software. Have you encountered much progressivism in the Magic community? I know Lee Carter, progressive candidate for governor of Virginia, is an avid Magic player, and a few Magic the Gathering icons like Ross Merriam, Autumn Pritchett, Patrick Sullivan, Jeff Hoogland sit pretty far to the left politically. What has your experience been in the Magic community?
Yeah, I think for the most part, you're going to get, with any game, you're going to get probably just a bell curve, just distribution for people's political views. So I'm sure there are a ton of right-wingers in Magic, but I was surprised to see how many people I knew that played and just played quietly. One of my coworkers, I like very close to what I do at work, in my same team, saw me tweet about it one day and was just like, "Oh, I've been playing for years." Yeah. So saying I play, that led to other people that I've known for a while saying they also do. Yeah, I think just generally it's been nice. And yeah, Lee Carter shared a deck with me a few months ago.
What was it?
Here.
I can't remember. It was some homebrew that he had made. But it got him to platinum, I think. Platinum or diamond.
Very sick. Because I know there's this weird thing with Magic that I haven't experienced anywhere else in a gaming community where it's like, oh my god, you play this thing. Where you find someone, someone else in the community, and you just kind of broaden the group. Your Magic group gets bigger and bigger that way, sort of.
Yeah, you don't really see that with other games. If people say they play Call of Duty, you don't have the same reaction. It's just
exactly.
Cool. Yeah. Halo, you get a little excited. That's fine. It's a great game, but this is just it is. You're right. It's very different.
Well, yeah,
probably because people so stigmatize it with this nerd veneer.
Right.
Sorry.
Totally. Well, Matt Galt mentioned on your podcast, The Insurgents, that AOC plays Magic Arena. Can you confirm this?
Can you confirm or deny? I feel like Cole misheard this.
I don't know. I know she plays League. If she plays Magic, that'd be nuts. I will find out.
That would be insane.
What deck would she even play?
I would hope she runs a mono red and just runs 4 Rob Brother Rich. And then just deploys all
Damn, that's sick.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I feel like is red the most left-wing Magic deck?
Green might be close. I was thinking
that's
earlier,
my answer.
Green.
I was just thinking elves. It's kind of like the socialist deck. It's
true
power of the people, collective power.
Yeah. Depending on how you think of Shoot Swarm, you could see it as a populist uprising. You're just overwhelmed.
Have you developed are you watching people play Magic on Twitch? Do you have favorite MTG celebrities at this point?
I watch just whoever's online.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Newmont? Is that the guy's name that plays?
Yeah,
I
like that guy.
Him.
Mm-hmm.
He's good. Just whomever. But I see my friend who actually got me into the game is in the chat now. Telecaster from Counterparts, Adrian. Really, really sold me on the game. And probably wouldn't have this conversation if it wasn't for him, which is it's nice to see him here. I don't know. I don't have any celebrities. It's just fine. Just whoever. I'm open to whatever.
Croakies has been my go-to. He's just always brewing the most insane things and just getting to number 1 on the ladder somehow with whatever it is that he makes.
I'm scared of this play right here. We're gonna Tails End our own Lotus Field trigger, and if they counter it, we just lose on the spot.
Lose on the spot. You know this line, Jordan, where you can counter the activated ability of your Lotus Field so that you get to keep your lands, basically.
So then you wind up next turn untapping with. Okay, it worked.
Or the triggered ability, excuse me.
Yeah, we'll untap next turn with 6 mana on turn 3, which is pretty cool, I guess.
Yeah, but we're still gonna die. Like, look at. I guess if we can land this.
No, we got
Dream
this settle the wreckage right here. We're all good.
They counter it with the Siren Storm Tamer though. That counters settle because you have to.
It's true. Because I have to target them. Yeah, we're gonna lose. So Jordan, speaking of games, can we talk for a second about the stock market? Did we watch this week as collective action exposed the stock market as being completely rigged? And what are the long-term implications of this? Like, what happens if this type of collective action that we saw taken by shareholders and owners was taken by workers?
Oh, well, if workers of the world united like that and saw an opportunity that would wreak havoc on the financial elite, you'd very quickly see major gains in worker protections and worker rights, because at the end of the day, their profitability and their control relies on your complacency. Mm-hmm. So if people were to band together, yeah, you would absolutely see momentum. And that's why they want you to be divided. That's why they seek to keep people or prevent people from unionizing. That's why you're seeing Amazon go out of their way to block the unionizing effort in the South, in the warehouses. So yeah, absolutely. I don't know if it's a perfect one-to-one analogy with the GameStop short squeeze, but this is a moment where we can see in plain sight just how rigged of a system we're dealing with, and whether or not I think people have too narrow of a focus for this issue. They're really zeroing in on Robinhood and the actions of Robinhood specifically, and they really need to broaden their horizons. Yeah, it's kind of a gray area. You can lean on collateral requirements for what Robinhood was doing, but that doesn't justify all of the other brokers shutting down trading at a time when a hedge fund, likely having a good relationship with all of these brokers, was in a position where they stood to go bankrupt. And they stood to lose that's the thing about a short squeeze. You can lose unlimited amounts of money.
Right.
And the more that stock price goes up, the more you owe because you have to buy them back.
Yeah, there's a limit going down. There's a low limit, which is 0, but there's no limit in the other direction. Yeah.
So that was a really pivotal time for this hedge fund. And across the board, they worked together. They acted in a unified fashion.
Right.
TD Ameritrade, E-Trade, Robinhood, Fidelity, all these brokers just quickly shut down trading or closing positions on those stocks that were being short squeezed. So, yeah, it shows just how rigged of a system it is. They will protect their own to prevent losses that they subjected themselves to. That's a notoriously risky position. Mm-hmm. And in 2008, when homeowners and borrowers were hung out to dry by the financial and political elite, through no fault of their own. I mean, these are people that were oversold on houses and loans. These people were their biggest crime was just believing the American dream was still within reach. That's it. And they wanted a piece of that, like so many people naively do. Mm-hmm. And banks knowingly rubber stamped these loans, knowing people couldn't afford them. They were totally out of reach. And they bundled all of these subprime loans together, and it was a completely toxic asset. And then those were sold as investment assets and financial instruments, and people's pensions and retirements were put into this system, investing in these CDOs and mortgage-backed securities. And they knew the entire time that it was completely bogus. They're on the record. I was going back and watching a hearing today as people were getting upset again about the Robinhood stuff, just Carl Levin in 2008, 2009, just reading emails from Goldman Sachs executives laughing about how they were knowingly selling toxic assets. And when push come to shove, they got bailed out. The risk the risk was put on and blamed on the homeowners and the borrowers. It was their fault. You should have known. There's a risk associated with this. You should have known. It's your fault. But now, as this hedge fund knowingly puts themselves in a risky position with a short position, it's not their fault. It's everyone else's. And
it's always
it just
the
shows
consumer's fault, right?
Yeah, it's a complete double standard.
Yeah.
Well, so you've called Washington Hollywood for ugly people. Can you explain a little about this and why?
So good.
And why?
So good.
And why public consumption of politicians as celebrities is dangerous?
I wish I could take credit for that term. I heard it or read it in Mark Leibovich's book, This Town, that came out, I think, in 2013. And that really, I read that as I was moving to DC, so it was a very helpful foundation for what I was about to enter. And he basically exposed this symbiotic relationship between politicians and the press, where there is just mutual flattery. They're going to the same parties. They're friends with each other. And there's a lot of conflicts of interest that result in the media not being willing to cover the subjects. They're not willing to call out corruption, profiteering at the public's expense, a litany of issues that Congress knowingly engages in. Just the media turns a blind eye to. The consumption of politics and politicians to celebrity is so dangerous because, we're seeing it play out in real time. We're seeing people fanfare over Kamala Harris and Joe Biden in an aesthetic fashion. Yeah. And this is a pivotal moment. We're having really serious discussions about stimulus plans, about healthcare, about immigration. And people just want that cool Obama era presidency back.
Right. They
want to treat Trump as this anomaly, and it's not. We're going to continue to ignore systemic issues, and we're going to get Trump on steroids as a result. And so it's to everyone's detriment. The more we look at politics as an aesthetic or a entertainment type subculture. It's really, really dangerous.
We talk about this all the time with the just the girl boss though.
Yeah.
But she's wearing Chucks.
Right, right, exactly. But even and the inauguration just feeling like a total Super Bowl event, with fireworks and all these gleeful performances after just a year of catastrophic deaths, and it's insane to see. I have a Twitter quote from you. Someone give me a lobotomy so I can land an op-ed gig too. Quotes David Brooks. Do you care to comment? Is there a dream op-ed gig for you?
Oh boy. David Brooks that was in response to his column using woke language and his alleged or purported support, although I don't believe there's any evidence of it, his alleged support of Black Lives Matter. And he specifically said many of us marched in the streets for Black Lives Matter or racial justice or whatever for the summer. And now it's time. And he equated it to this rush to send kids back to school. And it was just now it's time to stand together and open up the school doors or something like that. And it's so cynical and hollow to use language like that, especially language with deep histories of oppression and a fight for liberation, to push for what will likely result in worse outcomes for people of color, for Black people, for communities of color. Just disproportionate rates of infection and death from this virus, and it's just ascientific to try to pretend that putting a bunch of people in a building together is going to be fine when we're still seeing struggles
coming
with vaccine
together.
distribution.
Yeah. Fat Baby, Cole's wife in chat, says Hunger Games ass inauguration.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
All right, we're 0 for 1. 0 for 1.
Yeah, I mean, this is a terrible matchup. Mono blue? You gotta be kidding me.
Who's keeping score, you know?
I have some music questions for you that I want to transition into. I've noticed in a lot of the interviews you have guitars in the background. Do you play?
Just do your research. This is like every other interview I do is like, so you got banned from the military's Twitch. What was that like?
We do ask that question later.
That's fine. That's fine, and that's like I get it, but like that's it. And I'm like, what? You know, it's just kind of like, as I'm sure, like guys, like in your world, people are like, so what was it like recording the new album? Like 100 times, like every interview, you know, like what's it like going on tour?
That was largely the impetus behind this whole thing. Is everyone is so bad at doing interviews.
Yeah,
we want to be the Nardwuar of
Magic.
Of Magic.
That's great. He's a fantastic interviewer. I feel like that Nardwuar is probably like the #1 sign that you made it, and it is absolutely, you're right, the best interview.
Yeah,
I think the second best. I mean, maybe you guys, Hot Ones. I think Sean Evans does a really great job with Hot Ones.
He's incredible. That guy, he's amazing.
That was Lucas's reference.
It's Hot Ones.
Oh, really?
It's Hot Ones, but with Magic the Gathering is the theme
so there
of
you
the
go.
show. Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, we bite Hot Ones pretty hard.
It's good. It's really good, and I appreciate you guys doing like background research, having interesting questions. That's fun. That makes it great.
But I can tell you're avoiding the question. Do you play music?
Oh no! I played when I was younger. I'm not good. That's the thing. I played piano a lot, and it was fine. And I played guitar a little bit. It was not good, and it's just like one of those things where like I got them, or I got replacements for the ones that I had when I was younger, and just like always say, okay, I'm gonna just like learn this chord or learn this song this weekend, and then the weekend comes and I'm just like buried in work, and it's just I never get around to it. So basics, but not good, and I would never play it in front of anybody. It's very embarrassing.
That's tight. But do you enjoy just kind of sitting down with the guitar, or is it still? Are you still in the like guitar hurts to play phase of things?
It's fun to fuck around with. I'm just not good. That's the thing. It's not. I'm not at the point where it's even enjoyable. It's just like a chore. So like I feel like I'm relearning fundamentals.
Yeah, once you get over, especially with guitar, like guitar starts speaking back to you pretty quick, but you have to get over the like, this hurts, I don't enjoy this kind of phase. You know, when you can play all the open chords, you realize like every song ever written, as long as you own a capo. I'm guessing you're a music fan then.
Yeah, of course.
And this is a little bit of a cookie cutter question that we're going to hit you with, but what kind of music are you into? Cole typed into the question, have you heard my band? We're really good. Fuck you, Cole. like your band. Yeah. Yeah, fuck no. Have you heard Dive?
I have.
No. What kind of music are you into? Walk us through, as you did with your Magic experience, what your music experience has been.
I heard of the Dives. Someone asked in the chat. So metal mostly, but eclectic, just everything. For the most, not a big country fan, but mostly metal and hardcore. Got into
kind of. Have you seen our Carrie McCoy interview of Deaf Heaven?
I have not.
Oh yeah, that's our metal cred.
That's our metal episode. If you're looking for a metal episode,
I will. I'll check it out. Origin story, I guess, similar to Magic, because younger was into like, so again, conservative home, so I had to like I understand the pitfalls, but if it wasn't for piracy, like I would have never heard a lot of stuff. So I was able to like download Ride the Lightning, and that like just set me on a completely different trajectory than like the Christian music that my parents were trying to make me listen to.
Because you're able to secretly do it, is what you're saying? Hell yeah. Very funny.
And then that led to a buddy giving me Toxicity at school, and that was like game over. Yeah. Just to hear like a song about prison abolition at like 11, 12, that was a pretty formative album for me.
Yeah, did this shape your trajectory politically and stuff? I mean...
Yeah, I think so. That led to like Rage, and very formative band for me politically. And yeah, just tons of different channels from there. Hey, there we go.
Got it. We got there.
The troops have won.
Android 96 says Toxicity isn't Christian.
The good guys win. But I do always really like to hear about like what bands radicalized people, and I've asked my bandmates about that, and for them it was Rage. For me it was like, I think like Propagandy was the band. I was into like hardcore and like pop punk stuff when I was a kid. That band like really radicalized me. So I guess my next question is kind of related to that. So like obviously music and politics have always been inextricably linked, both in content and musical form. But what would you say is the role of musicians in the political landscape in 2021 besides posting their...
Cole, we lost you in the middle there.
You got it.
Content and musical form, and then we lost you.
What would you say is the role of musicians in a political landscape in 2021 besides posting a daily infographic on Instagram?
Oh, this is a conversation that I've had a lot. So I actually went back to the black square thing that everyone tried to do.
Yeah.
Not everyone.
I went back and looked at one of those posts. Yes, I mean the good ones didn't. They did more. Not that they just passed completely, but they went above and beyond. I went back and looked at one of those posts. I think one of the festivals in UK had posted it, and you can go back and read some of these, and you have no idea what they're talking about. It's just, we in the industry need to stand up and fight for what's right, and that's why we're doing this. And like that's it. You don't know what they're talking about. They're not willing to call out various forms of injustice specifically. They're not willing to call out the police specifically, and that it's just complete aesthetics. They want to post and then check out. And if you are a musician, if you are an artist, and you have an audience impressionable and dedicated and listens to you, have these political beliefs, I think there's a moral imperative to talk about these things in a meaningful way with your audience. I think, some of my buddies are in Stick to Your Guns, and they are like all in. I mean, they're pounding pavement. They're showing up at demonstrations. They've got a book club. They want to radicalize their base. They had a podcast. I knocked doors with them in Nevada for Bernie. I mean, these guys are like all in every way you possibly can. Multiple fundraisers for bail funds, for groups doing real work, directly saying like, we need to abolish ICE, and here is just a fundraising benefit for groups that are working to that end. Literally practicing what you preach, and not just like you say, the infographic thing. That trend just needs to go away.
I personally agree with that.
Same.
Okay, so I don't know if you've seen the show before, but we have a little segment we prepared for you related to the last subject. So the name of the segment is Slayer Song or Magic the Gathering card. So we're gonna say the name of a song or a card, and then you just tell us if it's a Slayer song or a Magic the Gathering card.
And I will be keeping score.
Lucas will be keeping score.
Okay.
All right, you ready? First one, Calamity Bearer.
Brian says, "Oh, this is going to be impossible."
That feels like a Magic card.
It's Magic.
Correct.
It's from Kaldheim, the new set.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, I have that card in my deck. Yes.
Sure you do.
It
Okay.
doubles the damage.
Reign of Gore.
Slayer song.
Magic the
No.
Gathering.
Yeah.
Magic the Gathering card from Dissension. All right. It That Betrays.
That's a Slayer song.
Also Magic.
What
It's
the fuck?
Eldrazi from Rise of the Eldrazi.
Some of this is unfair because Jordan started playing in what was it? Zendikar,
And then that current standard, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
A
we're
couple
going
of them.
before, prior. But,
true.
you know, you use your best judgment.
Okay. Perversions of Pain.
I feel like that would be a Slayer song.
It's a Slayer song, 1998 off.
Is this
Cialis
our hardest
in
one
music.
yet?
Hell yeah.
I can't imagine wizards using the word perversion.
Right.
They're very prude.
Cleanse the Soul.
Slayer.
Slayer, 1988 track off South of Heaven. Death Cloud.
Magic.
How are we doing, Lucas? What's the
Two wrong out of I don't know, 6.
All right. Stain the Mind.
Magic.
It's a Magic card. It's kind of a trick question because Slayer has a song, Stain of Mind. So very astute, very astute. Okay, Altar of Dementia.
Slayer.
Magic. But
Wow.
a little bit of a trick because the next one we got Altar of Sacrifice.
Slayer.
Okay, Crypts of Eternity.
God, they use Crypt a lot in Slayer. But they do it in...
Yeah, they love Crypts and Magic.
Oh, no.
Sounds like a
That's-
Magic card to me.
Should I go with Lucas then?
No.
No.
Slayer.
1985 track off Hell Awaits. We got Divine Intervention.
Magic.
Slayer.
There's Divine Visitation in Magic.
Divine Visitation, sure. All right, last one for round one. Last one, Jihad.
Oh, Slayer.
Trick question. It's actually both. It's a card from the questionable Magic set Arabian Nights that I think has been banned for being racist as fuck. But also, it's a 2006 Slayer track from Christ Illusion. So Jordan,
Jesus Christ.
what does W4R CR1ME mean?
It means war crime. It means you are trying to find a way around Twitch chat auto moderation.
So you were banned from Twitch for calling out the military practice of recruiting children as young as 12 into military service using games like Call of Duty and Warzone. What were the specific tactics you observed recruiters engaging in, and what was your experience on Twitch with these recruiters?
Yeah, so I was banned from the Army and the Navy's channels, specifically. So like it was the Army recruiter and the Navy recruiter banning me specifically. And what I did to start was I went into the Army's channel and I asked what the recruiter's war crime was, and I posted the link of the Wikipedia page to all the U.S. war crimes committed by the military, and he banned me. And like you said, the W4R CR1ME was because they had blocked the word war crime, or the term war crime, from even being mentioned in their chat. And in the past, I've worked with Columbia Law School's First Amendment Center to challenge Trump banning people who are critical of him, because I think it's a First Amendment issue. I think as speech becomes more and more, political speech specifically, more and more common online, we need to have conversations around what can and can't be done in terms of moderation at the governmental level. Otherwise, I don't think any of us want to live in a world where you can't be political online. It's a great tool for mobilization, a great tool for engagement and advocacy. The last thing we need is the U.S. government to shut down political speech. So it's something I've been thinking about for years, and I was trying to test the waters with the Army, and they banned me. So that caught people's attention, and I tried it again in the Navy's channel. And to kind of summarize, I realized this is also a pretty deliberate recruiting effort, and they're pumping a ton of money into it. So I started digging around and wrote a piece in The Nation about it. And one of the tactics that they used that really just fucking set me off was they had this automated prompt. And if people are watching and you're familiar with Nightbot and other channels, they're using Nightbot to do an automated message around every like 10 or 15 minutes that said, you can win an Xbox Elite Series 2 controller. It's like a $200 controller. It's like a pretty good get if you win a raffle. But when you click the link, it took you to a recruiting form. And there was no mention of the contest, odds of winning, or anything else. In small print at the bottom, it said you were signing up to have a recruiter contact you. And you could fill out this form as young as like 12 or 13.
Jesus Christ.
And that's just deeply insidious, because kids are not going to read the fine print, but then that subjects them to a haranguing recruiter for the next several years of their life.
Mm-hmm.
And with so much economic precarity, especially right now, if you're on that cusp, if you're like 17, 18, and you're in this moment where you have no real economic security, maybe your parents lost jobs, maybe you can't find a job, maybe you're in a deeply unstable situation because of the pandemic, the military is a viable option, and that's like largely by design in this country. It offers a stable paycheck, roof over your head, meals, healthcare, college. There's a ton of benefits, signing bonus. It's a great deal, and they know this. They know that's what people need. And I found it to be like really, really disgusting. They were using these bait and switch tactics just to lure people in with video games and Twitch at a time when everyone's stuck inside watching it. Just to lie to them and get them to sign up for. Oh, there you go. This Uro.
We also. Yeah, go for it, Lucas.
We forgot to mention that anytime someone casts a Thoughtseize against us, we Venmo you $5. You just got $5. We got a Thoughtseize, but if we counter a Thoughtseize, you lose the $5 out of the account.
I never heard that part.
Yeah, this is the second time we've gone over it.
Okay.
But Jordan, there was some like the Army's pushback is like, we're sick of hearing that like people are duped into signing up for the Army. Like not everyone in the Army is there because we like tricked them into enlisting. And I was just curious what you had to say about that, because I mean, like, they are tricking people. Yeah, of course not everyone is there, but like
right. I mean, they're full of shit.
Yeah.
They're just serial liars, and recruiters are known for being liars. This line was trotted out by Max Rose, who's that like angry bald guy who was in Congress and he lost.
Yeah.
But he's failed his way upward, and now he's in the Biden administration. But he used that defense when Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez brought the amendment to the floor to cut funding for this. He was like, "Oh, this is a limousine liberal trope." I grew up in the fucking Rust Belt. Like I went to Youngstown State and then to Baltimore for my master's. Like by no means am I a limousine liberal or part of some upper crust. Like I care about this issue because people like me and people who grew up in areas like where I grew up are preyed upon by military recruiters. And they look for people in unstable situations and offer them a better life. And they don't want you to realize how that's not your only option. And there's a bipartisan consensus that there aren't any other options. You know, they work toward it. That's why we saw bipartisan opposition to cutting funding for this. And there's always bipartisan support for increasing military funding.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that same kind of safety net in other areas. So it's like they funnel people into this. Sorry, go ahead, Lucas.
Someone in chat wanted to ask you, are recruiters still allowed to visit high schools?
Yeah. And in fact, as it relates to esports and video games, there's a new initiative to build gaming centers and esports centers in schools. So kids go hang out there after school, go play Madden, I'm sure it's going to be really great. It's going to be probably nice stuff. But you go in there and you play Fortnite, you play Madden, you play Call of Duty, whatever, and then a recruiter's hanging out with you after school too. So they definitely can recruit in schools, and they're going above and beyond on that front. They're going all in on esports and video games because they know it can get their target demographic to show up.
So give us a quick run through of the history of U.S. military using video games to train and recruit potential soldiers, and like when did this originate, et cetera, et cetera. And... Sure.
I mean, video games and military technology goes back like decades. And specifically for recruiting and training, it's mostly early 2000s. I mean, America's Army was a free-to-play game that a lot of people are familiar with, and it was made by and developed by the military, and the sense of realism that you could get was a big selling point. They championed that you could play the real missions that our brave troops are doing overseas in Afghanistan and Iraq. That's really gross in retrospect. And it also sanitizes war in general. I mean, this is something that leaves people deeply traumatized for the rest of their lives in many cases, and in some cases people take their lives or leave with military sexual trauma. I mean, there's a whole array of issues that you could encounter in service, and there's no guarantee that they'll take care of you afterward. So to use a game that strips the realities and the horrors of war from that experience, I think is already pretty insidious. And they used this game for several years to recruit people, to sell people on the war on terror. And Call of Duty and Medal of Honor had run historic style games for a while, but then around 2005, 2006 is when they made that pivot into war on terror propaganda. That's when they started Modern Warfare, and that led to everything you're seeing, like the annual release of modern warfare style advanced warfare games. And it's just been a booming industry ever since. And the military and ex-generals and consultants and military contractors all help shape these games. And they have a serious amount of influence over the content of these games, the marketing and everything. And it's ultimately just, hey, nice.
Got there. So
it's propaganda.
Yeah, like you talked about just now, like how the realities of war, you know, like the systematic murder of women and children and the evolving nature of war itself have been sanitized into this like gamified experience of war, and the military is recruiting towards that. So you mentioned something in something I listened to you on about kids being recruited into like an air-conditioned hangar in the Midwest using a game controller to pilot drones. Can you speak about that?
Yeah, what they're looking for with this style of recruiting is people who can pilot drones, because you are using a very similar controller, if not the exact same controller, like the Microsoft Xbox style and design, to pilot a drone. And there's just so many steps. We're so many steps removed from the actual violence and carnage, and the way that we're just kind of effortlessly like siphoning people into this environment and this style of war is really alarming, because we're not going to have the same type of pushback domestically. We're going to have to rely on foreign reports, because we're not going to see the media cover it accurately. We're going to see a very pro-America, pro-military style of coverage. And we're not going to have people coming home in large part talking about the horrors of what they saw abroad. So we have this completely removed killer from the killing style of warfare that only guarantees forever war. I mean, who's going to oppose it? We don't see our brave troops coming home in body bags. You know, we don't see people losing loved ones anymore. Hey, there's Thoughtseize.
That's $10.
And yeah, it's there's a pretty tall partition between the troops here piloting these drones and our invasions and warfare abroad. So it's really alarming for just so many different reasons. And that gamified style of recruiting and the way that people are just consuming military propaganda hour on end by playing like Call of Duty or something, where a drone strike is a reward for in-game performance, completely desanitizes them to the horrors of war. They don't recognize just how catastrophic it is for people in Yemen or Iraq or Iran, hopefully not Iran, Afghanistan, and everywhere else that we're fucking bombing.
That segues perfectly into my next question. So I have a potential pitch for you. Do you think that we then could make a game that is the exact opposite, that is just as mundane and, you know, as it is hyper violent and traumatizing, just like the worst gaming experience that is like tries to accurately depict the trauma and the awful experiences of modern warfare? Would you endorse such a game?
This is not my quote or not my line of defense. It's someone. So Chris Hedges is my favorite writer, and his book War is a Force That Gives Us Meaning shaped my views on war. And he talks about how you can't have a piece of anti-war media because by default the sensationalism in it is still going to desanitize people to it.
It's a really good.
Yeah, it took me by surprise, because I used to think like, oh, okay, maybe this. I think Dunkirk I thought maybe might be anti-war to an extent, but then I went back. I've read it like several times and read it again. I was like, oh wait, there's an argument that you can't. Maybe Civilization is the way. The game Civ or something like that is the way to do it. It's all just, and then you just go all diplomacy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, and it's mostly a joke question, but like, even if you do, then, you know, no one's going to play this game. You know, it's like, it's going to be so awful that no one will want to play. Yeah. But you mentioned in your piece for The Nation that practices employed on Twitch by military esports teams are part of a system by which recruiters target children in unstable and or disadvantaged situations, which we kind of talked about before. But can you talk about what types of disadvantaged situations that the military recruiters exploit, and what this implies overall?
They're playing casualties of war on you guys.
That means you Venmo us $20.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
That's fair. Sure. So they look for kids with moderate to low grades. For a while, they were targeting. People called them out on this, so it's not as much anymore. But for a while, they were targeting Black and brown communities. And all the historic injustice, like from years of redlining on, that would put people in disadvantaged situations there. People who feel like they can't make it in college, people who don't want to go to college, people with broken homes, or people in just general situations where they want to get out. And this isn't the only case. You are seeing a huge uptick in middle class to well-off white communities go enlist as well. They also disproportionately are represented in the academies. So you kind of hear both arguments and descriptions in the counter recruiting world. But yeah, they traditionally look for people who, for this, would mean security. And when you think about that, when you think about this is the only guarantee for healthcare, steady income, meals, housing, whatever, and then possibility of college or trade school afterward, and being able to afford all of that. Think about why there's bipartisan support for increasing military funding, and then never really. Oh, nice. And also concerns about the deficit and spending in every other front, because you don't really see that same type of support in Congress for those same benefits for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's always just the military, and then like pushes people into that system.
So I guess speaking of military PR, earlier this week, Dean Spade spoke on Democracy Now! About the transgender military inclusion campaign. Do you agree with his point that trans people's autonomy has been appropriated as a space to have pro-military advocacy and PR, and then rebrand the military as a site of liberation and progressive politics?
Yeah, based on that, I hadn't seen the interview, but based on that description, yeah, I think there are people who are better equipped to talk about this than me. I had a conversation with a friend, Matt Lubchansky, about this thing specifically today, and they were just frustrated that people were, because when this was announced, Matt and I were joking about how this is, the liberal reaction was like, this is great, like diversity, equality, and not really cognizant of people were not really cognizant of like the U.S. Allyship and support of autocratic and despotic regimes that engage in oppression of the same communities that we're claiming to be, paving the way forward for in the U.S. military. It's just by default, it's an oppressive force. It is a global force for evil, and it feels very hollow and cynical, and designed to kind of whitewash the atrocities committed by the military. I don't know. I just don't really get excited about that, or how Raytheon is the best place to work, according to the Human Rights Campaign. It just feels very like cynical and hollow. I think there's downstream benefits, right? We never want a system that deliberately seeks out marginalized communities and loudly and publicly excludes them. Like, that should never be the norm anywhere. Removing that ban is not a step forward. It's just you're clearing a bar that's 6 feet underground. I'm not really excited by it. I think people should think about how the military engages with the rest of the world, and how the military behavior, how our military and military conduct around the world might lead to further oppression abroad.
Congress member AOC said, imagine trying to explain to your colleagues who are members of Congress what Twitch is. And I was wondering, is the lawlessness and sort of Wild West nature of the tech world exacerbated by our sort of ancient, out-of-touch lawmakers? And how do you combat that?
That's tough. That's really tough. I mean, across the board. Technology just moves at such a rapid clip, and Congress is so slow and, by default reactionary.
Yeah.
So I've been struggling with this a lot lately. Specifically how algorithms and unchecked algorithms shape public perception. I mean, we saw how unchecked algorithms and these opaque proprietary systems fueled a fascist, white nationalist insurgent effort at the Capitol, or insurrection effort at the Capitol, how that has fueled conspiracy theories, how it's fueled like racist pro-cop violence and militias. And then kind of juxtaposing that with the importance of free speech online, it's tough. But at the end of the day, we're not going to see any meaningful developments if these members of Congress are taking donations from these platforms, from these networks. And what I really fear is, in response to the events of January 6th, all of these corporations who knew it was happening, they saw it coming, and especially the social media networks that didn't do anything, then saying, oh, we're not going to donate for a month to the Republicans, trying to get positive PR.
When there's like nothing to donate to for a month anyway.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like the one time it's safe to guarantee you're not going to spend any money. Exactly. And it was just unbelievably opportunistic and hollow. Hey, nice.
We got there. Okay, we're two. What are we? 2 and 1.
3 and 1.
3 and 1.
2 and 1.
All right. So why don't we? Speaking of our gerontocracy and our bipartisan illusion of bipartisan politics, we got one last deck that we can run it out with, which is it's coming. It's this blue-red deck right here. It's called Duopoly. And it's representing the two political parties. The blue is the good one and the red is the bad one.
That's right.
So this
never allowed to question the blue.
No. It's like so that's what we're gonna run it out with. So I had, I guess, one more question to follow up on the what you mentioned about AOC drafting the amendment. So like a week after your piece for The Nation about military recruiters on Twitch, AOC drafted an amendment that would have blocked the military from conducting their recruitments on Twitch, but it was blocked by 103 House Democrats. So how did your actions on the U.S. Army Esports Twitch channel affect change, and where does this practice stand today and looking forward?
So, yeah, I mean, this was that amendment was a result of the piece and associated outrage. And I just am deeply grateful that she took up the torch. That was really, really cool to see. In advocacy, and especially like progressive and leftist advocacy and activism, there's a lot of losses, and it's very easy to get demoralized or feel like you're very alone. And the threat of atomization is very real. So to have like such a swift response to that, where someone of that profile took up the mantles. That was very cool. But yeah, another loss, because there's always going to be bipartisan support for war in this country, especially when they're able to make these types of donations, both to the campaign and especially unlimited to super PACs. It's a tough uphill climb. War sells. So it was really, really grim. And I remember texting with her aide that day. We were kind of uncertain how the vote would go. And his name is escaping me now, but the guy who runs the subcommittee for appropriations, when it was Republicans' turn, the Republicans' turn to debate on the floor, the Democratic chair of that subcommittee went and spoke on behalf of the Republicans in opposition to it. And it's just like, just chef's kiss, just perfect encapsulation of the bipartisan support for any and all things military spending. Because if you're not, you're weak on foreign policy. You're anti-America. We can't have a reasonable discussion about it. There's just like the levels of fascism, and specifically in its support for militarism is just so deep. People have unhinged reactions to anything about this. People were conflating it with just cutting off recruitment altogether. People said, this is just like any other advertisement. Well, it's not. It's not like a magazine advertisement. You're hanging out with a 12-year-old. Right. Online. That's not the same as running a magazine ad.
Yeah, and that's part of the like disconnect with these ancient fucks just not realizing how fundamentally different something like something like Twitch is, and how much a part of young people's lives these sorts of communities, these sorts of online communities are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the parasocial relationship and style of communication on Twitch is what makes this so pernicious. It's really alarming. The thought of having a recruiter unknowingly, or to a kid unknowingly recruiting them for hours on end, and Twitch was putting this for a while on the front page. So the other part of your question was like, where is this practice now? They've largely stopped because they were just getting pummeled in the chat. A lot of people were justifiably outraged by this, and as just so many things go on the internet, people saw how the military was reacting. Like, you can't show weakness online, and people saw that. They saw people being blocked, and they saw them cave when the lawyers that I had sent them a letter to unblock me, and they saw the military cave. So people were like, all right, free reign, let's go. And they were just flooding chats for a while. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Just tons and tons of people. People were writing bots just to like describe all the war crimes and describe U.S. military atrocities. So there's just like an automated script just typing all of this stuff out in chat.
I feel like there's a thread of like collective action having results. Strange.
Yeah, who would have thought?
Yeah, which leads me perfectly to the next question. What do you think is the future of using online spaces as an activist space for direct action?
Oh, it's critical. People have used it in the past for like one-off campaigns. I mean, I used it a lot to get advertisers to drop Tucker Carlson. There's ways that people have used it in the past to moderate success, like flooding different things with negative reviews. Being creative online for political advocacy is key. And a lot of people like to just conflate it with slacktivism, but also it's just like, I think it's also an antiquated understanding because the media has really adopted, especially with coverage of these types of things. You'll see it all the time, but it'll be like, oh, many people are saying this. And it's just like embedded tweets. So you can shape the narrative the way you'd like by flooding conversations with different topics or flooding sites or accounts or whatever with certain types of behavior. I mean, just as you could stand outside the White House and protest, get a picture, and that's fine. I mean, you could just flood the military's chat with the same thing, and they'll go away. So yeah, I think it's important. It's also why we need to think about, and it's tough. It's not easy. It's not an easy question, because I think, Cole, you made a joke about Parler yesterday, and it's just like, I have mixed feelings about like the internet. Just like, do you want Amazon in control of your speech? Because Amazon like tried to get quick PR by removing it from AWS. And I think Parler is like gross, and people on it are vile. But like, I don't know if I'm ready to cheer on Amazon for taking action on behalf of everybody. And now we're seeing more and more reports of Facebook knowing that people on their site were organizing for January 6th. We're not going to see Facebook see the same repercussions. You're not going to see Apple remove Facebook from its app store. So I'm really, really worried about the impact of that action and what that says later on, because it could very, very quickly be used against left-leaning organizations or efforts. So I think establishing some sort of universal protocol for how people engage in political speech online is absolutely important. And again, it's not an easy question. Mm-hmm. It's not a clean-cut answer.
True. Yeah, that's an open-ended one. We hit you there before part 2 of Slayer song or Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, it's kind of like we might end it on like a upbeat kick. Talk about the future. But like, we'll have to end it on Slayer song or MTG card part 2.
Okay.
So what's their score count from the first round?
We have 3 wrong out of 11.
Actually, there's a really interesting question.
Seems generous.
There's an interesting question in chat that I wanna ask. Deluxe Boo asked, "Is slacktivism good or bad?"
I don't know if it's either. I don't know if it's like just one. I think if it's what you only do, it's bad. Mm-hmm. If you just post an infographic on Instagram and that's it, it's bad. Mm-hmm. And you need to be doing more. And it's like a yes and. It's just you can, if you want to do that to educate your followers, sure. Not my thing. But I get it if it helps you connect with people who are typically apolitical. I think people use it as an excuse to feel good, and they shouldn't. But I think if you have the means, donating to bail funds or mutual aid organizations is key. Showing up, being part of a local leftist org is key. Everything, canvassing, volunteering. I mean, there's just so many different ways to get involved beyond just posting, and I think that's imperative. So I don't know if it's neither good nor bad. It's just it's a little bit of both.
I think that's a good answer. All right, so Slayer song MTG card part 2. Okay, Knight of Souls Betrayal.
Slayer song.
One of my favorite Magic cards.
Yeah, MTG card. Yeah, it's a board sweeper from Kamigawa. We got Spill the Blood.
Oh man, this is such a great game, but it's fucking hard. Slayer song,
88 off of South of Heaven. Aggressive Perfector.
Magic card.
Slayer.
Sounds like a Magic card.
It does, right?
It does.
Old song off South of Show No Mercy.
We're trying to trick you with this thing.
Yeah.
You're doing a great job.
These weren't like random, off a.
Yeah.
Let's see. How should
it's
we?
Not like Exile or
right. We're sideboarding against rogues right now. I wish I had the fucking that Phoenix, the Escape Phoenix.
Oh yeah. Are you winning, son? Oh yeah, we won we won the
first one. That card sucks. Okay, Slaughter Pact.
Slayer song?
It's a magic card, zero mana removal spell from future sight. Okay, ready for this one? Cast down.
Yeah. Slayer Song.
Trick question. It's both. It's
that's off of God Hates Us All. Right?
It's off. Yeah, God Hates Us All, and it's also a 2 mana destroy target non-legendary creature from Dominaria. Yeah.
It's both.
The one I knew for sure was like the one that could go either way.
We had 2 trick questions in there. We got through them. Maybe there's more. Who knows? Blasphemous Act.
That is a magic card?
It's a magic card from Innistrad. Eyes of the Insane.
God, these could all go either way. Eyes of the Insane, a Slayer song.
Slayer, 2006. Okay. Ghosts of War. Slayer. Off South of Heaven, 1988. This one is like very. I like this title. Fraying Sanity.
Slayer.
Magic. It's a mill card from Hour of Devastation. Poison the Cup.
Magic.
Kaldheim card. All right, and our last one, Flesh Storm.
Slayer.
Slayer, 2006. All right, how do you do, Luke?
You got 7 wrong out of 22, so pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
God, that was hard.
Yeah, that was our hardest one yet. So,
by far. The other ones
God.
were, what do we do? Philip Glass, Nick Cave.
And that's it,
Maybe that's it.
right?
Yeah, that might be it, because we didn't... Oh, no.
Wait, for Colin...
No. Carrie was Slipknot.
Oh, that's right, Slipknot.
Slipknot was pretty hard, too.
Yeah, Carrie got 10 out of 10. Carrie nailed it.
Yeah, he knows his Slipknot.
Yeah. Fat baby going off in chat.
Flesh
Storm.
It's the name of our first child.
So any final thoughts here from either of you before we wrap up this week's episode? Jordan, I think you earned $10.
No,
right?
Just pay it forward. I don't
earned $10 on this episode. We'll donate it to a charity of your choice. How about that?
That's cool.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Whoops. Not the charity. That's great. I clicked through my end step there.
I had a lot of fun. This is such a great premise.
Oh,
You guys did a
sick.
Great job with this.
Thanks.
I love it. This was by far the most fun interview I think I've ever done.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I remember when Lucas came up with the idea, and I was like, that is the fucking stupidest idea I've ever heard. But it sounds fun.
It's great.
That isn't what you said to me, but I'm glad to know that's how you felt on the inside.
Yeah, it's my internal monologue.
I believe you said "hell yeah" when I asked.
Yeah,
you.
I did.
It's just dumb enough to work. I think. I think that's the territory that we're in here. Because I think that the thing that works about Hot Ones is it sort of disarms the guest, and they give a very their defenses aren't up, and with this one it distracts the guest, which is a different kind of interview for sure.
I liked it though. This is fun. The Slayer Magic card game is great.
Oh yeah,
I enjoyed it a lot.
Well, thanks for coming on, Jordan. And that's all we got for today. Thanks to our guest, Jordan. Give a listen to his podcast, The Insurgents, and follow him on Twitter at Jordan Ewell, UHL. I'm Lucas Frank. With me, as always, is my co-host, Zachary Cole Smith. Thank you for tuning in. A very special thanks to Deranged Strangler for the original music. And we'll see you next Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Should I play the outro?
Yeah, this is where you play the outro.
What's going to happen in this game? All right. Okay, thank you, everybody. Good night.